Welcome into the webinar room. Come on in, make yourselves comfortable, and we're going to get started in just a couple of minutes. I just want to make sure that everybody is going to come on in and join us before we get started. So we're just going to wait a couple minutes. So while you are waiting, over here on the right-hand side of the screen, we have the chat. If you want to let me know your name and where you are logging in from, we would love to say hello to you while we're waiting for everybody to get on in here. It's a beautiful day here in the Pacific Northwest. It is not sunny, but that's okay. I like the cloudy days too. It's sunny and I think 60 or something like that. That's a good weather to have. Lisa from Los Angeles. Hi, Lisa. And then Angela. Hi, Kathy from Studio City. Lots of Los Angeles people. That's so cool. Oh my gosh, it's going so fast now. Sophia is in Bulgaria. Wow. Katie from Atlanta, Hilary in Georgia, Kirsty, Laguna Beach. It's cloudy today. You'll probably have a sunny day tomorrow. And then Susan in Greenville and another Lisa from Albuquerque. I don't think I've had more than 2 Lisas on a webinar before. That is so cool. Michelle in Michigan, Sunny in 75, Kara in Massachusetts. Hello. Margaret in Bellingham. Oop, neighbors. There we go. Deborah from San Francisco. And then Mickey from Sheboygan, Wisconsin. I was born in Madison, Wisconsin. Excellent, Mickey. Hello. Alyssa from Tampa, Florida. Vanessa from San Diego. Eridania. I think that's how you say that. Let me know if I didn't say that right. Great name. Hello from Ohio. And Barbara, Arizona. Judah from Los Angeles. Marisol is having a gloomy day today. Well, I hope we can brighten up your day just a little bit. Oh my gosh. And it goes on and on and on and on. Delphine, Linda, Heather, Amber, Miranda. Wow. Welcome everybody into the webinar room today. I think we're going to wait like just another few seconds and then we're going to go ahead and get started. Nellie, greetings from Mercer Island. You're just like right over, hop across the highway. And then Dave, we have a male in the room. Is that? I'm just guessing. I'm guessing that Dave is the name of a male. That is so cool. Thank you for joining us today for this topic. Fantastic. All right. I think we are going to go ahead and get started. I'm just running off at the mouth here. I would like to welcome you all here to this Viome webinar, our May webinar, and we're so happy to have you here today. And first, I'm going to introduce your guides. And so your guides for today, first, I want to introduce the 2 ladies on my screen. They're on the left. 2 amazing individuals from our precision nutrition team. You're probably familiar with both of their faces if you have been on these webinars before. We have Hilary Keiser and Janelle Connell. Hello to the 2 of you.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
All right. And if you were here with us for our annual Moonshots webinar in January with Naveen Jain, our CEO, you met Sarah Dorsett, who was our special guest host for that event. So fast forward a few months later, and we are so lucky to have Sarah with us on the Viome team as our new president. Sarah, welcome to Viome, and I'm so glad that you could be with us today for this conversation. Oh, you're on mute.
Hi. All right, bear with me. Yes, my technical challenges. Very excited to be here. Thank you. Thank you.
All good. Thank you. So this is a topic that I love to focus on every year. I think we've done it 3 years in a row. May is the month of mom, of course, and then also for Women's Health Awareness Month. And the 4 of us got together and we discussed how we wanted to talk about the health of women throughout all the stages of life, and how women in the traditional roles of caregiver can sometimes find it challenging to balance their responsibilities to their families, their children, their communities, their coworkers, and so on, with their responsibilities to themselves. And we have unique biology and unique microbiomes, and stress, no sleep, inadequate nutrition absolutely impact us in unique ways. And we want to have it all and take care of everybody. And it turns out that we definitely can. And that's what we're going to shed a little light on today. And so I'm going to have Hilary start us out with a topic of life stages. So Hilary, can you start us out?
Of course. Hello, everyone. Welcome, especially to our amazing women in the audience today. I really want to take this opportunity to celebrate women and support women. So whether you are a female, you're a male, hopefully this brings you some really great information to help you support your health and to feel your best, and to be able to perform all your responsibilities, because being a woman is pretty darn awesome, right, ladies?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
It sure is. Women really possess this unique strength. It's kind of like a blend of compassion and resilience. We have this amazing ability to create and to nurture life. We have this emotional intelligence that allows us to connect deeply with others. The list goes on, right? Whether we're like rocking a new hairstyle or we're going through probably the most complicated thing we'll do in life, the feat of childbirth, women are constantly adapting and conquering, and it's beautiful. The female body is beautiful. But for many women, it can feel like a puzzle at times. The research is actually showing that 80% of women suffer from hormonal imbalances. And myself included, I struggled with that for a really long time. And I can relate with a lot of women. I hear the same story again and again. I tried the supplements, I tried the diets. I even went to the doctor, right? And the doctor prescribed me birth control and sent me on my way. I even had one doctor once tell me if I just had children, all of my hormonal imbalances would resolve themselves.
Oh.
So, nothing really seemed to address the root cause until I started to understand and work on the connection between my hormones and my microbiome. So the good news here is just as us women are resilient and we're adaptive, so are our microbiomes. And they really are distinct from the male microbiome. Now, I know you're probably already like, wait, with the microbiome is connected to my hormonal health. It's maybe not the most intuitive connection, but there really is a strong connection there. And that difference between the male microbiome and the female microbiome is most likely due to the influence of estrogen, right? We've probably all heard of estrogen. It's kind of that stereotypical female hormone. And it's actually working on our gut, and then our gut microbiome is working on estrogen. So there's kind of a two-way connection that's really quite interesting. So the estrogen is working on our gut health by increasing the production of mucus. The mucus in our gut is very helpful because it helps bolster our gut lining. So we have the lining of our gut, right? And then just inside of the gut lining is a mucus layer. And that is where a lot of our microbiome lives. So having a bigger mucus layer can help foster more diversity in our microbiome, which is a great thing. We do want that. So women do tend to have a more diverse microbiome than men. And more diversity just means that we have more activities in our gut microbiome that can help us, right? So our microbes are producing vitamins, they're producing other beneficial metabolites. So it's kind of like having more people in your community that have different specialties. So you can be more productive. And so we have a more diverse microbiome, but then that influence of estrogen is also working with our immune system. The microbiome, the immune system, estrogen, they're all working together, which can actually make us more susceptible to autoimmune conditions. So women are more at risk for autoimmune conditions because of that. Now, I mentioned that our gut microbiome is working on estrogen, right? So there's this part of our microbiome called the estrabolome. And this is the part of our microbiome that can actually metabolize estrogen. Now, our bodies will utilize estrogen, right? It'll flow around in our blood. When we're finished with it, our body will put kind of like a trash tag on it and throw it into the gut. And usually it'll get wiped out, but the estrabolome can take that tag off and put estrogen back into your bloodstream. Now, if everything is in balance, not a big deal. But if you have too much of that happening, you're going to experience some estrogen dominance conditions that can lead to things like endometriosis or PCOS, maybe ovarian cancer, right? So this microbiome really becomes important for us to support our female health. And understanding that really gives us the power to optimize our health. And that really helped me in my journey as a woman, help get my hormones under control. I want to turn this over to Janelle. Janelle, can you tell us a little bit more about how we get that microbiome?
Yeah, let me jump in here. Switch over to our slides. Thank you for that introduction, Hilary, and happy belated Mother's Day to any mothers out there. Hope everyone had a wonderful and relaxing weekend. I'm actually a mother of 3, so hopefully I can share maybe some of my own experiences as well as we talk today. But like Hilary said, our microbiome plays such an important role in our health as women, especially with that connection to hormones. And I think one thing that makes us very unique is that we have really distinct life stages or milestones that impact our microbiome. So I just wanted to highlight a few of those, and really this connection with how our microbiome can impact our health at any stage of life. So first, of course, we have birth. I think we've all passed that stage, but for those who are thinking about becoming a mother or maybe thinking about adding to their family, it's an important thing to still think about. About 60% of an infant's microbiome comes from their mother. And I love that for a couple reasons. It's really a connecting factor, right? So my child's microbiome came from me, and my microbiome came from my mother, right? We're connecting generations through this thing called our microbiome, and that's really, really beautiful. It also highlights the importance of, hey, taking care of myself matters, right? Because I'm passing that down to this next generation. So that importance of caring for yourself is critical, not just for you, but for those people who come after you. After birth, we do have a period where kind of the microbiome develops, usually around age 4. It becomes a little bit more stable. Boys and girls look pretty similar in that kind of toddler phase. But once we hit puberty, that's where we really start to see those gender differences. And like Hilary mentioned, it's mostly because of our hormones. So estrogen increases our microbial diversity, and that's wonderful as a woman that we have that. There's a lot of benefits that come along with that. So we can start seeing kind of the changes between males and females, but we can also start to see where that can become a problem. And they've looked at young girls who go through puberty early. It's called precocious puberty. And that's where puberty starts like at age 8 or earlier. And they're actually seeing that in these girls, their gut microbiomes have a less favorable balance. We don't totally understand everything yet. The kind of belief at this point is that those microbes that are out of balance are producing some metabolites that then communicate with the brain that then impact our hormones, right? So even from that early age, there's that connection between our microbes and our hormones, how that impacts our health. All right, our next stage, pregnancy and breastfeeding. For those who choose to, have children, this is another time where the gut microbiome really goes through a change, right? And so again, like I said, this is kind of different from what most males experience, but we have this time of our hormones surge. During pregnancy, we get an increase of microbial diversity. And some of those microbes are meant to do certain things. So like we've got microbes who focus on increasing energy storage, right? We need more calories, more energy to support that baby that's growing and some of our other body parts that are growing and developing during that. We also have some changes in microbes that impact our immune system, and that's to help protect the baby and protect the mother during that time. So we've got some changes that go along there. Similarly with that, puberty, where we can see some issues. If our gut microbiome is unbalanced during pregnancy, that's associated with things like preeclampsia, poor fetal growth, gestational diabetes, and even like a premature birth. So the research is finding more and more connections between these things, which to me just highlights, again, as a woman and a mother, how important my microbiome is to not only my health, but the health of my children as well. I added breastfeeding in there. I thought it was something that's super interesting here, again, where caring for your microbiome matters, is that maternal gut bacteria actually influences the diversity of breast milk bacteria. So the bacteria that you're passing on through your breast milk. And I think that's super, super fascinating on that connection. All right, so then we got the really fun part of life. I'm calling it menopause and beyond. This is when we have a decline in estrogen, and that's going to lead to a decline in gut diversity. More gut diversity, like Hilary was saying, usually helps us recycle some of those estrogens back. So if we can maintain our gut diversity a little bit more during that menopause and beyond phase, we can maybe mitigate some of that extreme estrogen loss. We also have changes to our vaginal microbiome. So estrogen impacts the microbes there as well. We tend to see less lactobacilli, which is like a genus of bacteria that produces lactic acid, and that keeps the pH nice and low in the vagina, and it helps to fight infection. So after menopause, vaginal infections are just more common, unfortunately. We have a partner, we threw it up here on the slide. They're called Evie, and they actually do vaginal microbiome testing. So if anyone's interested in that, I think Lisa's got a link for you. Yeah.
Yep, I just threw up a link. They are a partner of ours, and we do enjoy doing cross mentions of each other because we're complementary tests, obviously. So if you click on that link, you can get $20 off a test. And there you go. And if you want to close down that pop-up box, there's just a little button down the bottom that says close, and you can close that.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I think that's a really interesting area of women's health, and definitely one that if you struggle with some of those recurrent infections, something to check out, right? As we're going through menopause and that phase beyond, research is starting to look at how does the gut microbiome play a role, and can probiotics or fermented foods influence that, right? And so some of the studies so far are showing that probiotics can help with things like hot flashes. They help with calcium absorption, and that's super important for menopause and beyond, because as that estrogen declines, we actually see an increased risk of osteoporosis. So we want to make sure we can still absorb our calcium well, and probiotics is an area that can help with that. Iron absorption is another one. Probiotics can help with iron absorption. I know my mom, that's something she's struggling with right now, is keeping her iron levels high enough. And so that's, taking care of that gut and providing those probiotics can play a role there. I would say, whether you're in these maybe earlier stages of life, you're thinking about having children, or you're in that maybe 35 to 50 age premenopause, you may be caring for someone who is aging, or you may be in that aging stage yourself. But I'd encourage you to think about how your gut plays a role. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but your gut microbiome is so connected with a lot of the issues we experience with aging. Think about like our digestion, right? Irregular digestion, issues with sleep, immunity. To me, that's a huge, huge one. Our immune cells have hormone receptors on them. Immunity is a really important and critical thing to keep up as we age. Cognitive health as well, that gut-brain connection. Women are actually, twice as many women have Alzheimer's than men.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and And more and more research is coming out and showing that connection between your gut microbes and some of the metabolites they produce and conditions like Alzheimer's. So continuing to support the gut microbiome even as we age is still really critical.
There's an interesting comment in the chat here, just an anecdote of proof that this connection really exists and it's happening. One of our participants said they did a serious run of antibiotics earlier this year, and they've been noticing menstrual irregularities. They said it's all making sense now.
Oh,
Yeah.
really interesting. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, Sarah, let's talk about the busy or stressed out woman. I think we've all experienced that at one time or another, right?
Oh my gosh, so true. Well, first of all, it's such a pleasure to be here with all of you, and listening to all of you and your expertise. And I am still learning, which is wonderful. And now so many dots are being connected as well. But I think part of what we wanted to do today, in addition to all of this great specificity around the female microbiome, is also just acknowledge how much we do as women, regardless of if our job is, CEO of our home, or we're also balancing another, career outside of the home. We do a lot, and I think most of the time we are the caregiver as well. So acknowledging that there's so much more that we need to do for ourselves, in addition to taking care of our health and our microbiome. Part of our health is also our mental health, how we manage stress, balancing everything. And I've always hated that word balance, but trying to balance, because I've never actually believed in balance. I've always believed more in that idea of harmony, kind of accepting things as they come, and being able to say, okay, my best really is good enough. I know I also, I'm probably closer to menopause than anybody else here. But I have, as you guys all know, I have 2 dogs, I have 3 kids. I've always worked in pretty high pressure jobs. The last one I had was very focused on family and having babies and early family. And I heard daily about the challenges of tackling caregiving, no matter where it was, if it's caring for an elderly family member, a friend, a loved one, or children and pets. We're all caring for something, and trying to make sure that all of the things that we do support that. So with that, I think we're all sort of sharing here on some of that juggling act that we do.
Yep, absolutely. I think we have a poll. Yeah, let's find out. Do we want to take the poll? I don't know. So in the chat over here is the poll. How often do you take 30 minutes or more to do something nurturing for yourself? So do you do this every day? Wow, that would be, oh yay. Some people are answering every day. That is so cool. I love that. So we have every other day, once a week, 2 times a month, and then once every few months or so. So if you'd like to answer, just let us know how often you're able to do some self-care for yourself. And looks like a lot of people do it every day, which is really encouraging. It's really, really encouraging. It's like the numbers are kind of calming down just a little. It's mostly the top 3. So that's good. So those of you who do it every few months or so, it would be great if you could find a little bit more time to do some self-care and nurturing for yourself. I particularly like that bath right down there in that picture. So that would be a good one. Thank you very much for answering our poll. Let's see what's the next slide. Oh, we have statistics. Yeah, Sarah, do you want to start us on statistics?
Yeah, I think, this is sort of incredible to see. Frankly, I almost wish you could switch the button around so I can hear from all these wonderful people who do all of this, who make the time for some self-care, which more and more as I've gotten older has been absolutely critical, especially related to how well I sleep. Doing something for myself seems to really help with sleep, and sleep just seems to be having a bigger and bigger impact on how I feel every day. But I was really excited to see this statistic actually, that women really do value, 80% of women really do value this idea that if they did something for themselves, it would really make a difference in how they feel, that they would feel more relaxed, they would feel more refreshed. So I think it kind of speaks for itself, that stat, that doing something for yourself really will make a difference. And we know that as women. So we're very aware, self-aware. And unfortunately, not enough of us actually are able to take the time to do that, whether it's because of our schedules and trying to jam everything in and we just can't get everything done in a day, or even sometimes the guilt we might feel for taking those extra minutes for ourselves because it may take away from some of the other responsibilities that we've taken on and committed to.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that our poll numbers actually aligned somewhat close with that second bullet, right? I think we had about 60% of people who were doing something less than daily.
Yeah, we had, yeah, it looks like that for sure. Oh, next slide. There we go. More statistics. Janelle, this one's yours.
Yeah, sure. So from this poll, again, about 76% of women spend up to 10 hours daily caring for someone else. Might be a partner, a husband, children. And 1 in 5 women spend more than 10 hours a day caring for others. I think that's really telling. Hilary highlighted at the beginning some of the natural traits we have as women. We tend to be caregivers, right? And we tend to focus on others, and that's a beautiful thing. 10 hours a day is a lot. And I might fall into that category sometimes as well. I can see that, but that's a big commitment on our time.
Awesome. All right. Hilary, you want to highlight this?
Yes, this is an interesting one. 1 in every 5 women surveyed admitted that if they took even 1 hour off to do something for themselves, it would make them feel selfish, guilty, anxious, and unsettled. Wow. It's kind of funny. You'd think it should be the opposite, right? But it's really all about our mindset, right? You have to realize that you are worth it and gift yourself that, because it's going to help you perform so much better in your day-to-day life. It just, it doesn't have to be an hour every day. You have to find those little moments, those little things that are going to help you feel nourished, help you feel, revived. And we'll talk a little bit more about why that's so important. Here's the next slide. So as we're handling all these responsibilities, we're juggling all the things, right? What do we sacrifice? Oftentimes we sacrifice some sleep, some self-care, obviously, and then we end up feeling stressed, right? Because we have so many things. We're not slowing down, being in the moment, excuse me. And that is not isolated. That those feelings of stress that, you feel, we've probably all felt it, right? A little tired, irritable, maybe foggy. That is not just isolated. Unfortunately, it goes deeper than that. So when we're not sleeping, we're stressed out, our bodies are in this constant state of fight or flight. We're producing a lot of stress hormones, and that's going to disrupt not only our female hormones, but also this conversation that's happening between our gut and our brain. You've probably heard us talk about it before. If you've been to our webinars before, there's this communication called the gut-brain axis, or the vagus nerve. So it's a bundle of nerves that connect your gut to your brain. And your microbes in your gut can produce neurotransmitters to send messages to the brain, like, we want some food, or we've had enough food, maybe, if that's such a thing. And then the brain is asking the gut, is there inflammation? Are we digesting well? Do I need to eat? Things like that. So there's this two-way connection. And when we're stressed out, when we're not sleeping, this can be affected. So it can change the motility in our gut, so how quickly our food is moving through. It can influence the gut permeability. So I talked a bit about in the first slide, the gut lining. So we have this thin layer that is between our digestive tract and our blood. There are these little junctions that allow nutrients to pass through. But if we're stressed out, we have a lot of cortisol flowing through our body, those junctions are going to get wider. And that can be a problem because toxins in your digestive tract, which are normal from digesting food or pathogenic bacteria, that allows them an open door into your bloodstream, which can cause a lot more problems. Now, we can experience changes in our gut microbiome, and we can experience changes with even with our female hormones. And the interesting connection here is that when we're under chronic stress, we're producing a lot of cortisol. Our body can use up all the cortisol it has, and then it begins to steal from the sex hormones, especially progesterone. So progesterone is kind of like the maybe lesser known sister to estrogen, but the two kind of balance each other out. And if you have this influence on progesterone, it can lead to an estrogen dominant state where using up the progesterone goes down, then there's more estrogen, which can be an issue for more things like PCOS, endometriosis, but not what we want. So if you are experiencing some of those things, you might want to take a look at your stress levels and your sleep.
So it's amazing how much stress can affect your health. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Oh, I think someone's asking, what is PCOS?
Yeah.
Polycystic
ovarian syndrome.
Right.
A lot easier to just say the PCOS.
Hilary, I'd jump in too and say, often when I have friends come to me with digestive issues, one of the first things I do ask them is about their stress level. And sometimes when we're having gas, bloating, constipation, whatever it might be, we're like, what do I need to change in my diet? And certainly there probably are things to change there too, but sometimes addressing that stress is a really great starting place. I think Delphine said meditation and breath work can be quick and efficient, right? It's just some of those small little daily practices can really help.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Amishi Jha and her work on meditation. She says just 12 minutes a day is all you need.
It's not much.
Yeah. Not much. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Ooh, self-care.
I think this is just me.
This one's
This is me wrapping it up and saying this is so critical. I actually am so proud of the entire audience in the polls because it does look like there is a recognition, and maybe that's because those who are engaged in our Viome movement are so committed to their health already and understanding kind of what's going on the inside. But I love seeing the results that is a consideration, that a lot of people are able to fit it into their daily, if not once a week. I might not be I'm probably at the lower end of that poll still, but so critical. So I can't tell you, I will say that every time that I do something that is really, that I would really consider self-care, that I find important, it really does make a huge difference. But just thinking about, when you're awake and you're stressed, for me, it's always that sleep element, right? Being able to just sleep and recover, which has so much to do with also, what you eat and what you put in your body every day. But those extra levels of stress and not having that moment when you get to just separate yourself from all that anxiety, I really feel like ends up kind of perpetuating into something that becomes worse as time goes on. So finding those moments now, everyone really, especially women, we really do deserve that little bit of self-care, whatever it may be. I mean, sometimes I just love putting on a mask or walking my dogs. I am a huge fan of meditation and breath work. And I think today there's so many resources, whether it's Spotify or YouTube, there's just amazing ways. I travel quite a bit. I'll come out to see you guys in Seattle, but I'm on the East Coast. So travel causes a very interesting, every 2 weeks causes a little bit of a different type of stress that you can really feel, and adjusting to that jet lag and the time change. Sometimes when I'm in my hotel, I'm literally just kind of surfing YouTube for something relaxing that I can do for 10 minutes before I head in to spend some time with all of you. So really stressing the importance of of this overall for us as women.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So Hilary, with all these things going on in our everyday lives, how can we best support our health?
Well, we talked about a few things. Meditation and breath work just came up. But of course, at Viome, we're food first. We see food really as the foundation for our health. And of course, if you test with us, you're going to get a lot more information than just this. But I wanted to highlight just a few things so that everyone could really benefit from this. So if you want to support your health, and especially your microbiome, eating a diverse plant-based diet doesn't mean you can't eat meat, but of course, focusing on whole plant-based foods can foster more diversity in your gut microbiome. Just you're providing more nutrients for a diversity of different species to flourish. So there's some different ways that you can think about this. Personally, I enjoy creating a plate with as many colors as I can. It's visually pleasing. I feel like kind of more satisfied with my food. It just feels a little bit more like art. If that's not for you, you might be maybe a little more logical and less creative and you want to count. If that's you, some experts recommend 20 to 30 different plant-based foods a week. That's what research has shown to be the sweet spot for getting more diversity in your microbiome. Next, you want to feed your microbiome with fiber. So fiber comes from plants. It's this complex molecule that our digestive system generally cannot process, but the gut microbes, your gut microbiome kind of has the key to unlock the nutrients that are there in the fiber, and that feeds them. We call them prebiotics, or the food for the probiotics in your gut. Now, fiber can be a benefit for you because in your digestive tract, it kind of bulks up the contents. So that can help you feel more full. If you're a stress eater, we've probably all been there, chocolate bar when you're stressed out, or a bag of chips. It can help you feel more full so you don't eat as much, and you're eating hopefully the right things. Instead of your bag of chips, you're eating maybe some asparagus or artichokes, things that are rich in fiber like that. Lastly, fermented foods and probiotics are definitely something you want to be getting into your diet on a daily. Fermented foods are things like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, so things that have been fermented with probiotic microbes. Now, these are great because they're going to help reduce inflammation in your gut and, of course, foster more diversity because you're just putting the microbes right in there. So that's diet, right? There are some other daily practices in addition to the ones that we've mentioned that I think are really important to highlight here. Science has shown that these can help improve your health. Now, we've talked about sleep, prioritizing sleep. What you probably didn't know is that women actually need more sleep than men. It varies depending on which study you read. I've read anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour. So if you are sleeping in the same bed as a man, don't force yourself to get out of bed at the same time. If you have that luxury to take a little bit more time when you need it, that's really going to be a benefit to you. When you're sleeping, your body is cleaning up. It's replenishing and nourishing. So sleep, get that sleep, prioritize it, protect it. Next are cleaning and personal care products. So there are actually toxins in your cleaning products, in your makeup, that can disrupt your hormones. So whenever possible, swap out those toxic cleaning products for clean versions. If you're not sure what is a toxic product versus a clean product, there are the toxic 12. That's a list. I'm not going to list them off. It's a lot in there. The names you probably have never heard, but check your labels for that. And of course, there's going to be those messes where you do really need those toxic products, right? You need to sanitize. But on the day-to-day, if it's not a really big mess or it's just your everyday personal care products, see if you can swap those for clean versions. It's really going to make a difference. And lastly, movement. I know when you're stressed, when you haven't slept, it's probably the last thing that you want to do. And I'm not saying you need to go to the gym for several hours a day, but wherever you can infuse some movement in your day, it's really going to help you out. It's going to relieve some stress. I think that connection's pretty well known. But one connection that I don't think is very well known is getting in some exercise is actually going to increase your energy levels and combat fatigue. So like I said, infuse those little moments of movements. If you're waiting for water to boil, do some squats, or park at the other end of the parking lot. Yeah, and Delphine, yoga is a great way to move, especially yoga. I love yoga because you're getting that mind-body connection. You're focusing on the breath. Yoga is great too. And then one last one I thought of since we made this that I want you ladies to think about is finding those little things that are luxurious to you that you can infuse like a reward, right? If you're trying to create a new habit, making a reward is going to help you stick to that habit. So it might be buying yourself some flowers. Research has shown having flowers in your home actually improves your mood. Or maybe it's taking that walk, or new shoes if you have the budget for it. Find those rewards, ladies. You earned it. You deserve it. And that's really going to help your overall health, help your mood. So go for it.
Absolutely.
Buy the shoes, eat the cake.
I agree.
If it's on your superfood list. All right. So those are some general recommendations. If you're ready to get in a little bit deeper, you want to get some insights on your personal biochemistry, Viome is really here to help support you in that journey. And we have plenty of other webinars that go a lot more in depth in all of our scores and the insights that you'll get from our test. But some of the highlights that are relevant to what we're talking about here is you're going to get some scores that highlight how your gut-brain connection is looking. Like, are the microbes in your gut producing serotonin? 90% of the serotonin in our body is produced by our gut microbes, and that's a neurotransmitter that helps us feel good, feel happy. How are your cells producing energy? Are you getting enough energy from your food that you're eating? Are you digesting your food efficiently, right? So you get all these insights, scores, you can figure out how your body's doing. And then we'll tell you exactly what foods to eat and not eat and why. We'll create a custom supplement program for you. We'll custom blend it for you, ship it to your home. So it's super convenient. There's no more wondering what foods you should eat or not eat. We make it really simple and convenient, all delivered to your door. So if you want a little bit more details, you want targeted nutrition, make sure you get tested.
Absolutely. Oh, yep. So now for the super fun part, right, Sarah? The Viome family.
Well, as you know, I mean, for those who know about my past, I'm very dedicated to this idea of improving the lives of families, especially when you're starting out on that journey. So that was my past. And I think one of the things that inspired me, and I was so fortunate to be able to join this amazing movement at Viome and this team, was that most of the time, a new habit, and especially something as powerful as what Viome can do, and as important as the microbiome, as we're understanding the microbiome to be, and just food in general is such a connector. You know, culturally, it's such a connector around the world, and I don't know always if it's viewed that way in the U.S. in all areas, but definitely around the globe, food is such a connector. So you guys all know my big shtick here is all around leveraging Viome and making it kind of part of your family and doing it together with a loved one. You know, do it with your sister, do it with your mom. Make sure you do it with your partner and spouse. It's so interesting. I have definitely done it to make sure that I understand the connection, but having something to talk about. What are your foods? What are my foods? How do we make foods together? And basically what you're really doing is talking about improving your health and your well-being together. And as caretakers, I think that not only is that incredibly valuable and will be so impactful on your health and the health of your family, but also will just reduce stress. I think it's one of those that, you kind of know what to do. The beauty of Viome is it gives you that really specific, validated roadmap. And having a partner to kind of change your life around how you see nutrition and food as medicine is absolutely part of, Viome's overall mission.
Fantastic. We have Janelle, is this yours?
Yeah, I'll jump in here. I'm glad we're talking about the family. Obviously, we saw from those statistics earlier that we care for a lot of people, whether that's your kids in the home right now, a partner, a spouse, maybe it's elderly parents. There's usually more people involved, right? When we're planning food. I have 3 kids. One of them is a very picky eater, which makes it really challenging. I sympathize with any moms out there that have picky eaters. And I've noticed, I have tended to put a lot of stress on myself because I want to eat healthy, right? And I want them to eat healthy. And sometimes that creates this like stressful mealtime, right? Because I'm coming into it of like, I made this and I want you to eat it and it's important to me, But I've found a few ways and I'll share them. Obviously, I'm not an expert here, but I'll share some of my, some things I've learned as I've introduced this kind of gut-friendly eating to my family as well. Actually, I have a friend who she runs like a family meal planning business, and she shared something recently on her social media that it's kind of just stuck with me, and I've thought about it for a week or two. She was talking about the division of responsibility of food within the home, and she talked about how it's important to recognize this because it can take some pressure off of you. And so if you are the person who's primarily preparing the food, she says your responsibility is to provide nutritious meals and snacks at regular intervals. That's your responsibility. I would maybe modify that is your responsibility is to provide mostly nutritious meals and snacks. I'll have pizza once in a while. Your kid's responsibility is to determine how much they eat and if they eat at all. So if you make a meal and they don't eat it, that's okay. You did your responsibility, right? And that has taken me, even over just the last few weeks, some practice to get used to. Last night I made a meal and it's kind of like one of our go-tos. I think I've shared the recipe on Viome before. It's like a quick weeknight chicken and artichokes and tomatoes, and it's like generally liked by all of my family. Well, I made a side dish with it that my daughter likes. And as she got her plate ready, she didn't take any of that, right? And it's not something I normally eat. I kind of made it just for her. My boys will eat it a little bit. And I sat there and I thought, I made that for you. You're not eating any of it. But before I said something, I looked at her plate and she had the chicken and the vegetables. And I thought, that's okay. She's choosing what she wants to eat for this meal, right? Of what we prepared that's available. Now there's still some, we still have some boundaries that are known in our house. We know that if you don't eat any dinner, you're not going to eat snacks later. That's not going to be open to you, right? And we have a kind of an encouragement that you should at least try everything. Maybe you don't finish it. Maybe you don't like it, and that's okay, but give it a try.
Janelle, I really like that. I mean, because I have to say, my son is much better now. He's 16, right? But when he was younger, he wouldn't eat anything. And I struggled with it for so long because I'm like, I'm a bad mom. My son won't eat. My son, and I'm like, and my husband's like, he'll eat when he's hungry. Don't worry.
Yeah.
You get the food, he'll eat it when he's hungry.
And it's just, we put so much stress on ourselves. I know I do. And I've really been practicing this lately. So hoping to be better at it, of deciding what my responsibility is at mealtime, right? And creating that environment that's a little less stressful for everyone.
Lisa, just to jump in, Lisa, I've noticed, so my oldest is, I have a 12-year-old, and what I found fascinating is they have listened throughout the years. And when they can finally kind of take control, there is a moment when they say, okay, maybe I should be, if you're constantly reinforcing, good eating habits, how food affects you in many different ways, from, just all over your body, skin, mouth, everywhere. Ultimately, they do hit a point where I think they do start making their own decision about what to eat. And it's it's nice to hear that that Janelle, yours are doing it earlier than mine did. But I love that that if you just reinforce that message, eventually, they pick up on it. So just reinforcing it, even if they're not quite ready to take ownership over it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like
that's a great.
they will come to the realization that they need to eat, and then they'll come to the realization they need to eat better food, so.
And they might like it. Hopefully.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. A few other things I've just kind of picked up along the way is obviously anytime I can involve my kids. I have a 13-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 5-year-old. They love to be part of the garden. Some of my kids like to jump in and help cook. A lot of times, like on a Tuesday night, we don't have time for that. But like on a Sunday when we're making a nicer meal, it's a great opportunity to get them in. And usually they're like more willing to try that food if they've had their hands in preparing it, which has been great. I am kind of a believer. I always like to include one thing I know that they will like at a meal. Especially when we're trying new things. Like you might have a new superfood and maybe you've never made turnips before, right? And no one really knows how they're going to like it. A lot of times for me, like if the thing that I put out might just be like some fresh berries or cut up some apple slices, something I know that they'll just come to the table and they'll start munching on, and it brings them and kind of opens them up, right? So have one thing that they're really familiar with and that they like. And then try things new ways. If, the steamed broccoli isn't working for them, maybe they're going to like it roasted with some garlic salt on it. Or for my kids, like lemon juice is huge with veggies. They love lemon juice on their veggies. It kind of changes the flavor for them. So when you can switch things up, new seasonings, maybe it's a sauce, maybe it's a lemon juice.
Maybe a little ranch dressing.
A little ranch dressing.
Homemade ranch dressing, and it's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
Oh, yeah. And I even have a vegetarian one, so I could share that one day. That's
cool. That's really cool.
Like Sarah was saying, our kids, they do notice what we're doing. So if we can be adventurous with our eating as well and be honest, like, hey, I tried those turnips and they were awesome and I love them. Or like, that was gross, but like, hey, we tried something new. Like, I think that's a great way to just model those healthy choices, and they pick up on it over time.
Exactly.
Switch here. Oh, all right. And then continuing on that idea of, be in with someone as you're on your health journey. It might be a friend, it might be your family, it might be, adult parents. Test together if you can. It's great to have support. When it comes to like kids that are in the home, sometimes it's fun to show them your results. Like be like, these are my superfoods. Like these are going to make me super, right? They might get their own superfoods if they test as well. And that can be a fun place to start.
Special.
Yeah. I'm like totally a believer in start with your superfoods, look at what superfoods you have in common, and let those like crowd out some of the less healthy foods in your life, right? So instead of focusing on like, I can't eat this, I can't eat that, focus on what you can eat and crowd out everything else. Don't forget about enjoy foods too. If you have your Viome results, enjoy foods, you probably have a lot of enjoy foods in common with whoever you're cooking with or preparing foods for. And that can be like a great foundation for your meal. And then you sprinkle in your superfoods at snacks, at breakfast, at some other time if you need to. But those enjoy foods can really come in handy, and they add diversity to the diet, and that's good for the microbiome as well. We do offer some supplements that are age appropriate for different people in the home. So if you are looking to involve your kids in Viome testing as well, our gut pre and probiotics are appropriate for ages 4 and up. Our precision supplements, which would be our capsules, would be ages 14 and up. We just want to make sure it's safe to swallow, right? And those are a little bit more potent with their dosing and our ingredients there as well. Right. Oral lozenges, that's a really fun one for kids. Start getting them in the routine of taking care of their oral health and their microbiome. And I believe we're 7 and up on that one. And soon we're going to have toothpaste, another really good one for the kids, which will be ages 4 and up. Get them brushing those teeth. I think my last little piece of advice is, as you're working towards some of these goals as a family, is to make sure that you track how you feel over time. Before you even start, notice what's going on. Am I feeling bloated? Am I feeling fatigue, brain fog, anxiety, whatever it might be? Jot down some of those symptoms, and your kids or your spouse, your parent can do that as well. And then periodically check in with yourself and notice what's changing. I'm actually convinced, I have no science behind this, so don't quote me, but I'm convinced that we are somewhat wired to forget pain or how we were feeling. And I think that's why we will have a second child, because we forget how painful it was the first time. But I think that's true here. And that's why I like tracking changes over time, because a year from now, when you're feeling better, you might forget how you felt a year ago, right? And you might forget how those little practices that you started, the meditation, the eating more fiber, on and on and on, taking your probiotics, how they've stacked up over time. So keep a little log, notice what's going on, and involve your family in that.
Absolutely. That's a great way to do it. And come to an open house app tour after you get your results. You should get an invitation in the mail. And that's the part that I run. That's weekly, so that I can show you around your app and show you how to get around, how to find things. Really useful to get you going when you're implementing your recommendations. All right. Okay. So Sarah, how can we lead by example here? I mean, I do. There is the thing about do as I say, not as I do, but I think it's more powerful to lead by example.
Oh my gosh, I can't agree more. Well, I'll also just comment on, I think I saw in the comments that somebody thought a family plan would be great. And I promise you that is on our radar. So, big one that we're going to take advantage of. Yes, you can't pour from an empty cup. So I think this kind of encompasses everything that we said. Taking care of you is really important. It is, and it's very okay. The better shape you're in ultimately, health-wise, the more you can give back to your family and your career and all of the things that are really, really important to you. So my message is always, you really have to listen to yourself. Listen to yourself. Understand what's going on. There's so many tools now out there that can help you do that. Viome is such an amazing one that I think is a breakthrough. But in addition to, meditation is a great way to listen to yourself. When you wake up in the morning, you can just take a minute and say, how did that go? And I think the more that you are able to understand, okay, I'm not feeling quite right. Ooh, my mood's a little off, or gosh, I'm reacting too quickly to something right now. The more you can take just that extra beat to really feel like you have self-evaluated and self-assessed. I have found that to work wonders. And like I said, I love that you can't pour from an empty cup, because sometimes I really, speaking from personal experience, I really do feel like the empty cup, like what is left here today, and when you feel like that at the end of the day, I think that's a huge wake up call, that it's time to take some time to reevaluate just a little bit. Even before you go to bed, if you're feeling that way, like, how do I wake up in the morning, feeling more full, like I can give, and remembering all the things that you can do. Another big one for me is just kind of focusing on the positive. So I'm very much probably that way, just personality wise, but turning your attention to the things that you're really grateful for. That's a really easy way to go to bed at night. Yes, you're stressed out about the 17 things that you still have to get done, or something you may be really worried about. And Lord knows there's, so many of those things, and they can be very extreme. But if you're able to take a minute and say, okay, what am I really happy about today? What do I really love today? Sometimes if you can just do that before you fall asleep, you wake up full.
That sounds, you wake up full. I love that. Thank you, Sarah. So that actually concludes our webinar for today. Now, I know that there were some questions that I did mark, and I apologize. We are at time. We don't have time to answer the questions, but I know that I did see some that I know that I can answer, and I will reach out to people that I said that I was going to help assist them that needed a little help with their Viome products. I can do that. And I want to thank everybody for joining us here today and spending the last hour here with us and having this discussion with us. And I want to thank Hilary and Janelle and Sarah so much for giving their presentations. It was such a great presentation. I got so much out of this, and I helped put this together with you. So I'm so happy that I got all this information. And I do want to extend one last gift to our audience out there, and that is this discount. Use the code BALANCE if you would like to try out Viome, and I encourage you that you do if you want to try it out for your family as well. I have a link here to get $100 off a full body intelligence test. And if you want to add more than one test to the cart for your family, this discount will apply to all of those tests in the cart. And I encourage you to join us if you have not ever tested with Viome before, or continue on your health journey, do a retest. All right, so that is that. Thank you all again for joining us here today. And ladies, you too have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Oh my gosh.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you
Thanks
very
everyone
much.
for coming.
Have a great, wonderful day.